Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel and to another Inktober video. Now this one is very simple. I'm just going to be using a Pentel RSVP pen, which is just a ballpoint pen, and a sketchbook. Very thin, basic sketchbook paper. And the reason that I'm doing this is to kind of just go back to the basics. Allow myself to kind of have a little bit more of a simplistic video and feel, because it's so easy to get worked up into having to create these elaborate big pieces when 90% of the time this is the kind of stuff that I'm doing. I'm creating sketch pieces in my sketchbook to just continuously practice my abilities. Whether I'm drawing girls, I'm drawing random items and objects, or I'm drawing from references, this is often what I do, and I don't always share that. And I think it's one of those where today I thought it would be a good idea to kind of share with you a fun little just simplistic sketch page. The goal that I have with myself going forward, just for the future and in art in general, is to start freeing myself of all of these chains and restrictions that I applied to myself over the years just because. Not because I had to, but because I just felt the need to, if one person said that you shouldn't use pencil, you should only use X, I would take it extremely literally. And I realize now as an adult that part of that was being neurodivergent, and part of that was just the way that my brain processed things. But when we inadvertently do that, as we grow, we realize a lot of the things that we loved that we let go of. And there's things that as an adult I've been working on getting back into the habit of, because they're things that I personally love, but that I let go of because of someone saying something and me blocking it out completely. My biggest example of that is that I have always loved writing, ever since I was very little. Even with my Barbies, because I was a kid who played with Barbies, I would create elaborate stories, and I would write stories. I started writing a story with my cousin when I think she was 4 or 5, and I was 8 or 9, and we started writing this story on her mom's computer. And it was a story we would revisit all the time for 3 years. I think we got 5 chapters deep or so, because it was only when I was over there, and it would be for an hour or 2 at a time. But I also had notebooks galore of stories, short stories, more elaborate stories, story ideas, character moments, character creation, stuff like that. And this happened on multiple incidents, but one incident that I remember rather clearly was being a teenager, and my mom had gone into my room and was helping me clean, quote unquote, because as an ADHD kid, not understanding I had ADHD, I always had a lot of difficulty cleaning my room. And so she would do this thing where she would go and dump all of my stuff into the middle of the room and make me clean it from there. And it got overwhelming really quickly. So she would hit a point where she would come in and help me finish it. But it was never really it was almost more of a punishment that she helped. And there would be several incidents, but this one, I don't even know why, but this one particular incident stands out to me, where she opened up one of my notebooks that I wrote a lot in, and it was almost full because I always had a ton of notebooks from school and everything. And she was figuring out which ones were full and which ones were empty. And she'd opened one and started reading out loud the stuff I had written, and in a very judgmental way. Or not necessarily judgmental, but make fun of kind of way. And once I had been made fun of, like, it was after that I would still write on occasion, but it went from writing all the time when I had alone time to like maybe once a week, then maybe once a month. And I've done that with so much creative things because of just the simplest of critique from someone that I cared about, that like I personally basically put a stopper in that bottle, if that makes sense. Like, I just stopped myself. And now that I have been understanding myself, understanding my mental health, and trying to heal a lot of that, I think like a lot of us are doing nowadays, I realized just how much I missed all of those creative outlets. I missed writing, and I missed actually allowing myself to create what I want to create, not just create what I've gotten good at. And that is also why today I wanted to kind of dive into doing something a little more simple, and why I wanted to talk to you guys about these kinds of things. You know, I don't want young artists, people who love to be creative but are scared to express it, to limit themselves, because it's so easy, especially younger creatives or people younger or less experienced within the craft, or the creative aspect that they're going for, to really limit themselves when someone critiques. And there's also a difference. I realize that, like, it's hard to say because it's one of those where it's almost easier to be critiqued from someone who's online than to be critiqued from your family. However, your family can also be the most honest with you, but it also like stings the most because you are showing someone who is close to you something that is very personal. At least for myself, artwork and writing and just anything creatively has always been a personal piece of myself. Something that I do because I love, and it is a expression of myself. So when you are trying to share that with someone you love, and or someone you love decides to just read it on their own, and it becomes a joke, or it turns into something that isn't taken to heart what it means to you, it can be devastating in an inadvertent kind of way. It's not necessarily that the person means to affect you in the way that they did, but it can really affect you, and you won't realize it until down the line, you know, or at least I didn't realize it until years later, how much I had limited myself more and more over the years based off of the critique of other people, or more, to put it better, based off of the critique and the humor of those within my family, you know, those who thought it was funny or didn't take it seriously or tried to belittle me to make themselves feel better. You know, I even got it from my own brother and things like that. Even, you know, when I started doing YouTube and getting better art and, you know, really expressing myself more creatively, you know, I've had people in my family say some very supportive and loving things, and then I've had others be like unnecessarily nasty about it, because it wasn't something that they were capable of, or wasn't something that they agreed with, or whatever it was. You know, people will say what they want to say, and it is harder when it is people who are closer to you. And if you're someone who is creative, I don't want that to hit you the same way it hit me. I don't want that to limit you the way that I limited myself. And I figured the best way was to kind of talk and express those moments that I had gone through, struggled with, and dealt with as I grew. And I think that's why these art challenges are so fun and freeing to do, because you can be yourself creatively, you can do what you want creatively, and when you're sketching for yourself and you're sketching in your notebook and doing your things, you don't have to share it. The fact that you do share it is a gift. The fact that you do share part of yourself is something that is so special, and I want you guys to realize that so much. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.